with TrueDFS, and I am going to go over tonight's a 6-game MLB slate. It's the weekend, so things are a bit slower. I'm going to be brief. I'm just going to go through my process using SaberSim, and I'll show you how I play for my single entry. But you could do the same process really based on anything you play. So, process over picks, process over results, those sort of sayings apply. So I hope in this short video you could learn how I do it. And in doing so, I think what you'll learn is the power of SaberSim and some of the other tools that we have at TrueDFS. So check us out. It's TrueDFS.com. So after you like and subscribe to get more great content, especially the long form videos and the live before locks that Bobby and Sheets are doing before the slate, check out TrueDFS.com. We've got a trial up that could get you started and looking at these tools to get a really good grip on your process for DFS. The prices are going to go up. The trials aren't always going to be there. So now is a great time. We turned them back on for anyone who's had one before for the start of baseball season. So I really urge you now to check it out. And I hope that the way I use these tools in this video helps you see just what you could do with SaberSim. And then we've also got the PayDirt model from PayDirt Analytics that we've been using for betting. And we've been we've had a positive ROI and certainly positive expectation on our NHL prop bets using the PayDirt model. So check that out too. It comes along with it. And we've got that for MLB. So we're kind of getting into the prop betting with MLB using PayDirt. These are all things you get with the subscription. So I urge you to check it out. Now, let's get into tonight's slate. I checked the weather. There were some weather issues in the early games, but there's nothing here. You got a lot of domes and a lot of warmer weather stadiums, which tends to be like the night slates. You get more West Coast games and stuff. So weather's not an issue. And, I'm not going to go through game by game. And I don't have a lot of takes either. Every now and then, I like to trust the simulations. I like to trust the process. Every now and then I have a take and something I think the market isn't factoring in about a player or about a team. I don't really have any strong feel on this slate, which is maybe a good thing because, then I can really just home in and trust the projections. The only thing that I might want to look out for is Beto on the A's, Osvaldo Beto. I just wonder if he's being a little undervalued in the market. And here I'm betting on the A's organization, which seems to be kind of figuring things out. People, have been touting the offense and the A's hitting with Langeliers and Rooker and Blade and who else? So many guys. Butler, guys that are really coming into their own on the A's. They may be sleeping on the pitching. Springs had a great outing yesterday, and it may be that the organization is just a good, sharp organization and one to bet on. So, maybe there's some sneaky value in Beto today. I mean, he is being projected pretty well, though. So, I don't know, 27% ownership, maybe not, but he's around the same range as everyone else. So this is a kind of something I'll look out for. If he shows up in my single entry, I won't complain. There's some other things, I've heard people saying Arrighetti, we've kind of known since last year as a kind of guy who could get blown up. He gives up a lot of walks, but he also gets a lot of strikeouts. So he could be pretty good for DFS. And on the other hand, a veteran lineup for like the Mets could really take advantage of him. But that should all be baked in the projections. So I don't have too many takes. What I'm going to do is build 5,000 lineups using SaberSim. And then I'm going to run a contest simulation for the $250. It's like a 4max. That's the one I like playing, either that or the 121 single entry. I just chose the 250 for today. So I'm going to run a contest sim against that after I build my lineups. And here's how I want to build them. I'm not going to go just straight out of the box. I want to build them with minimal changes to the sims and certainly no changes to projections, but just a little bit of nudging. So what I want to do is I want to build lineups that reflect the ownership that I am going to see in the contest, which should be about a high stakes 20 max. So I'm going to switch my ownership there. And I don't really care about minimum salary. I just wanted to build the best lineups that it thinks it can find in these 5,000s. But the one thing I am going to tell it to do is to just take out all these nonsense stacks, right? I mean, they'll come up from time to time. Maybe you could build them so they're plus EV. You probably can, right? That's why they come up. But there's just a lot of speculation around, you know, the 3-mans, the 4-mans, and I'm just a sellout for 5-man stacks. It's tried and true. I'd rather other people make the mistake of building, you know, the wrong 4-mans, or just not stacking and having to. So I'm going to sell out for the correlation, and I'm going to tell it to just give me 5-man stacks. So those are the only 2 changes I made, but that is enough. So I'm going to go ahead and build these. And sometimes it's a little slower. Like the build happens in like a minute or 2. Usually it could be a little slower because I constrained it. I asked it to only make me 5-man. So while it's going, I'll show you you know, if you're new to this, what the contest sims do is they say, look, you're playing the $250 4 entry. This is what we expect the field to do. This is what the other 221 folks are probably going to do. These are the lineups we think they're going to play. And so we're going to take your 5,000 and grade them against those lineups as if those were the ones in the contest. Now, it's a little more complicated than that, right? There's only 222 entries, and SaberSim builds these fields that have, you know, 5,000, 10,000 in what they think the field's going to play. And you say, well, how are you running against that when it's only a 222-person contest? What SaberSim does is it randomly samples those lineups in the sims. So you get variation even in the sims. So let's see what we get for our top lineup. Do we have 5,000 built? Yep. There's always, you see this thing pop up. There's always projection changes. What does Vandal say? Favorite chalk and contrarian pitcher tonight? It didn't look like there was a chalk pitcher on this slate. It looked like, let's see what the ownership looked like. What's up, Charles? The ownership, 38% on Beto. I talked up Beto like he was going to be low, but Beto's my favorite pitcher, my favorite chalk pitcher. He's got the good park. I think he's got upside, but I don't know. It seems everyone knows that. But that's hit the like. Yeah, hit the like. That's right. Thanks, Charles. Like and subscribe. So Vandal, I don't know. I guess chalk is Beto. And my favorite contrarian, let's look at these ownerships. Like who's under 10%? Shota, Molly, Vasquez. Walker Buehler. Only 2. I think I'm going to go with Walker Buehler. Here's my rationale. The Red Sox, pretty sharp organization. They're willing to do a lot and take risks. They paid money for Buehler. Maybe he's a little better than we think. Not an easy matchup, but maybe he's got some more in him than we're expecting. So that's my favorite contrarian, Vandal. But that being said, you're going to see me just kind of trust the sims here. So let's see. Let's sort by this contest ROI. Who am I getting? Cubbies. There you go. My username is Steve Goodman, one of the most famous Cubs fans, legendary musician. Wrote all the Cubs songs. If you know the Go Cubs Go that they play after, that was a Steve Goodman track that he wrote it as a diss track, actually. He was a folk singer. He didn't sing tacky songs like that. But he was dying. He had cancer. And he wrote a song called A Dying Cubs Fan's Last Request. And the general manager in 1984, Dallas Green, said that he didn't like Steve Goodman's song and found it depressing. And Steve Goodman said, all right, well, I'm going to write the tackiest song ever, Go Cubs Go. And it was always played. It was played on the radio a little bit. Like, I remember when I was a kid in the 90s. And then it kind of went away. And then it came back in the 2000s. And now it's played like unironically. But okay, Go Cubs Go. That's our top lineup. Cubs, Dodgers, or sorry, Detroit against the Dodgers. I don't mind that. Sasaki's good. I think he's good. We all think he's good. Then you get that Arrighetti with the volatility. So, one thing you could do is you could just go with it. Say, this is my top lineup, and I'm good. Let's see what the ROI, 41%. Okay. Let's see if this is a 4-max, what 4 entries would look like. Cubs, Mets. I mean, that I like. If you play Arrighetti in one and Mets in the other, I like that. Limit your risk. Eagles, what's up? Great show, sir. First time watching you. Good stuff. Oh, thanks, Eagles. I appreciate that. Keep watching. I'm going to do these from time to time. Very much appreciated. And check out TrueDFS.com. There's a lot of really good stuff. So you get more Cubs. See, I don't know if I like having a ton of McKinstry as a one-off in all my lineups. But then you get 2 Cubs, a Braves, and a Mets to go against their Getty. Do we get a little Beto? I like it. On one hand, I don't like the McKinstry. On the other hand, he's 2,200 batting leadoff. And yeah, people like Sasaki. People like the Dodgers. I get why. And so, he's not expected to have a ton of ownership. I mean, if he's coming up in every lineup, though, or 3 out of 4, then ownership may be a little higher than we expect. So we'll see. So, you could just say, I'm playing one lineup. I'm going to have this top one. This is my top ROI, and go with it. But like we said, there's variance in the ROIs. The contest sims themselves have variance. It's like simulating the contest. So just like real life variance, there's variance in the sims. So one thing I like to do sometimes is see, like, where does this show up? It had a 41% ROI in this batch of sims. What happens if I run the sims again? Thoughts on Fott? I like Fott overall. He was a good prospect. He seems to be improving. I like him. I don't know on this slate that like really mattered. I mean, how's he projecting? Let's see. He's the highest projected pitcher. He's the second highest ownership. And the Cubs total isn't that bad. So, like, I don't, like, macro level, I think Fott is solid and has a lot of potential. The Diamondbacks kind of know what they're doing. On the slate, I don't know. I don't know. If I was hand building one, I'm not sure I would get to Fott. Sorry about the coughing, guys. $200 more, I can get Bryce Miller against the A's. I kind of like that. How come the top ROI lineup isn't always the highest projected scoring lineup? Sorry about that, Charles. Okay, that's a great question. There's 2 reasons for that. One, the top. I can't stop coughing, guys. The top ROI lineup is not always the highest projected, because the highest projected lineup, first of all, is going to be unstacked, right? It's going to have just the top players for their price in every in every slot. It's going to be a cash lineup, right? That's going to be the top projected lineup, like you're playing a cash game. And that's good if you're trying to be one person or trying to be in the top 50% of a double up. But here, we're trying to be, just to get our money back, we need to be in the top 80th percentile, which means ownership matters, right? It means we need guys to fail, right, for these lower owned guys to do well. So the guys that get less ownership aren't going to be projected as high. But there's going to be a pretty high percentage of the time where those high projected guys just don't have good games, and the lower projected guys outpace them. And if only 10% of people are on your lower projected guys, and the other, 40, 50, 60% of the field fails, with some of those high owned guys, then the lower projected guys cruise across the cash line, and you even have a chance to get first place, right? So that is why, just because you're the highest projected in tournaments, that is not always going to be it's actually rarely going to be the highest ROI, right? So that is my answer, and it depends what the other people play, right? That's why we have those contest fields that try and predict it. Now, anyway, I hope that helps, Charles. Let me know if you have any follow-ups. So what I'm going to do, is show you. So now our top ROI lineup is a Cubs, but it's with Imanaga, Beto, and a few Detroit guys. And the ROI came to 66%. So there's variance in the sims. This lineup just did better in this set of 100,000 sims or however many Saber sim runs. And maybe some of the samples of the field it took changed it up. So let's see where our top lineup in the last one is now ranked 4th. Yeah. So, there's variance in the sims. So, that says you could have some takes, right? I wouldn't build my whole lineup by hand. No problem, Charles. I'm glad it helps. I appreciate the questions. I appreciate you, man. But there's variance in the sims. So you could have a take, and I wouldn't play a low sim ROI lineup, but you don't have to play the top one. And sometimes that one that was the top one in one batch of sims is the 4th best lineup in another. So, keep that in mind with what you do. Keep that in mind. Oh, this one has Raleigh too. I love Raleigh. He's only going to be 7% because Beto's high owned. I mean, you could get, if Beto is going to be close to 40%, I mean, I can't say I mind some Seattle guys. I mean, Raleigh can hit a homer off anyone, can't he? All right, so that's what I would do. So, I'd be inclined, let's run it a third time. What you could do is you could even download these and run the sims multiple times. And you could try running against different fields and stuff like that, and then average them out is another cool way to do it. And you just download them and take the average. People have kind of been talking about that. Used to be people were talking about that in the upper echelons, but it kind of went from behind the paywall stuff to now everyone talking about these averages. So it's another way you could do it. Let's see where that top lineup. Here ranked 26th, right? It had about the same ROI. It was only 2 notches lower. So there's a lot you could do, right? I mean, this is why we get different. So, and that's why the average kind of strategy makes sense. So, what I would do is sim the top lineups, see if it keeps coming up towards the top. Maybe pick the one I like. Yeah. And see if that keeps coming to the top. So I don't know. It's early. All the lineups aren't in. All the projections aren't as tight as they'll be right before post at 6 Central. Ownership's going to get tighter. Everything's going to get tighter right then. Any news, if there is any, is going to happen. But if this were 6 o'clock Central and I was about to start the slate, I'd be going with the Cubs. Go Cubbies. So that's it. Good luck on tonight's slate. Remember to like and subscribe. And if you want to do stuff this way, check out TrueDFS.com because you get access to Saber Sim and you get the Pater model, which we've been using for betting. And it has a lot of really cool DFS stuff we haven't even gotten into yet. And then you get Sheets' projections, Goldie's projections. You get the premium Discord where we're kind of talking about all these different strategies all the time. And the great thing about it is all of it, there's trials. And after the trial, the price isn't that much more than just buying Saber Sim on its own or Pater on its own. And so you're getting much more for almost the same price. So check that out. And again, most importantly, good luck on tonight's slate. Let's hope we get some takedowns. Thanks.